Future visioning is one way. There's another way. You can meditate. You can actually just tune out everything and just get one with yourself in a quiet place. And that tunes out a lot of the blockages. Because when you're done meditating, for those of you who do, you come out changed, right? You're different. I mean, you're more centered, you're more grounded, you're more peaceful at that point. There's another way. There's a doctor in Hawaii named Hugh, H-E-W-L-E-N. And he has a method called Ho. For those of you who are my age, you know, now you've seen a little video, but no, not that. It's H-O''Oponopono. O-P-O-N-O-P-O-N-O. Ho'oponopono. It's Ho'oponopono. Pono. It's a Hawaiian prayer. Hugh Len is a Hawaiian, he's a Hawaiian, and he's a therapist. And he was called to be a therapist at the correctional facility in Hawaii for the criminally insane. And he said, I'll do it if I get to do it my way and if I never have to meet the actual inmates, because it was a terrible place. This was a place where staff would walk down the halls with their back to the wall because they didn't want to get shivved. They couldn't keep therapists, they couldn't keep nurses, they couldn't keep the correctional officers. It was a hellacious place. This was the criminally insane. This was the murderers, the rapists, out of their minds. Hewlin says, okay, I'll do it. Goes to his office, pulls out the files. Opens up the first file, and he is just repulsed by what he sees. So he prays. Just a 4-sentence prayer. And this is the Ho'oponopono. He prays, I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. He prays that with that folder, with that inmate. Looks at the next one. He's repulsed by what he sees. I'm sorry. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. He does this for each inmate, over and over, every day. Whatever repulses him about that person, he prays that prayer. Over a period of 2 years, one by one, those inmates were released. They were changed. They had to close that facility because they had no more inmates there. So what happened? Here's what happened. My outer world is a reflection of my fill in the blank inner world. So I see something that repulses me. Why does it repulse me? Because I got it in me. That bothers me because I got it in me. I don't want it in me. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. Gets out of me. My outer world's a reflection of my inner world. If it's out of me, guess who it's also out of? That person who triggered it. And that was his belief. And he did it over and over and over. They were healed. They were healed. And if you want to read more about it, it's ho'oponopono.org. It's right out there on the net. Or you can go to Joe Vitale's site and he's got links to it. So one of the ways that we clear our blockages is what is a blockage? What is resistance? It's saying, you know, I can't have that. I want it, I can't have that. I want it, I can't have that. But I want it, I can't have that. So how do we get rid of the I can't have that? That's a limiting belief. As soon as I feel that, you know what? I love you. He would pray to divinity. I pray to God. Pray to whomever you decide. I love you. Why do I say I love you? Gets my vibration up, right? What's the highest vibration? Love. I love you. I'm sorry. I see this deficiency in me. I'm sorry. Please forgive me for whatever my role was, for whatever I'm feeling, for whatever connection I have to whatever happened. Please forgive me. Thank you. I start it with love. I go down. Oh, thank you. So I start at the higher vibration. I end at the higher vibration. That clears blockages. Sometimes I'll wake up in the middle of the night. Millions of things to do. Can't go back to sleep. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me for worrying about not getting all these things done. Thank you. I do that 2 or 3 times, and by the 3rd time, I'm back asleep and it's the morning. It's very simple. So what's the first one? I love you. Second one? I'm sorry. 3rd? Please forgive me. And 4th? Thank you. That's Ho'oponopono. I like using that. Forgiveness. Forgiveness is a huge way to clear blockages. If I'm holding unforgiveness towards somebody or something or some situation, I'm not free to fully be me. Because I'm chained to that person that I'm not forgiving. They don't care less. They don't even know that I'm not forgiving them. It's not the silent treatment cell phone call commercial that we've been seeing lately. No, I don't think you get it. This is the 8th time you called me. And she's like, you know, you've all seen it, right? No. You haven't missed anything. She's not talking. I mean, she's giving the silent treatment. But when we don't forgive somebody, that person's off doing whatever they're doing anyway. They have no idea that I'm not forgiving them. Unforgiveness is a chain. And it chains me to who I'm not forgiving. Forgiveness is the bolt cutters of that chain. It doesn't release them. It releases me. When I forgive somebody, I'm free of them now. They don't have any control over me. Because what's unforgiveness? Giving somebody else my power. Giving them control over me. We'll take our power back. Forgive them. Move on. But what if they do it again? So you forgive them again. Don't give them the power. Because that will enable you to clear your blockage. Because the 4th step is now put yourself in the feeling place. Because now you can feel it, right? If I tell you, picture yourself having whatever it is you want, if we didn't do that first in the visualization, we start to hear things like, well, I can't have it, I can't picture it, because why bother? Right? I mean, does anyone think that? Did anyone think, wow, I could really have what I want? That's blockage. So we got rid of that blockage by doing it in the visualization. When you were grounded, and when you were in a loving place, and when you were in a world of possibilities, and accepted. Right? Right? Okay, so now, once you clear your blockages, you put yourself in the feeling place of having, being, or doing whatever it is that you said you wanted to do. And then the 5th step is you take inspired action. And you allow it to come. You believe it's on its way. You already sent out the desire. You know, like on the movie The Secret, you know, the genie says, your wish is my command, right? You already sent it out. Believe that it's coming. You already transmitted it. The vibration's already out there. So just like you attracted it, it's attracting you. Believe that it's coming. But here's one step that people overlook. Take inspired action. When you are clear and when you are vibrating the feeling of what it feels like to have or be or do what you want, You're going to get thoughts. Somebody's face is going to pop up. Give them a phone call, write them a letter, go in the next room, whoever it is. Okay? Take inspired action. All of a sudden, you may have a string of things that all of a sudden, oh, I can't do this because I need to do this first. Well, then do that. Right then, do it. Take your inspired action. Because your next step will come after you take that inspired action step. I said I wanted to talk to Tom. I'm eating. Oh man, I didn't get to see Tom. I really wanted to see him. He's right behind me. Now, if I didn't take inspired action, and I think that, okay, some outside force is ruling my world, and okay, they just gave me Tom. Tom didn't tap me on the shoulder and say, hey, I'm attracted to you. Can I sit down and eat? Right? I mean, I had to take inspired action. I had to say, oh, wow, he's there. Tom, I enjoyed your talk. Thank you. Would you like to join us? If I hadn't taken inspired action, I wouldn't be here today talking with you, because I wouldn't have met Tom that way. Maybe I would have read the book and called, and maybe we would have connected that way. Who knows? But the way we did connect was at lunch. See what I'm saying about inspired action? So why even leave it up to chance or plan B, C, D, E, or F, or G, when I can just take inspired action on the spot? So now we look at our lives and we go, oh man, yeah, I should have done that because I was thinking about them. Let yourself off the hook, okay? Let yourself off the hook on that. And forgive yourself. Because that feeling of, oh man, that's resistance. And that will cause the blockages. And that will cause you to question your deservingness of receiving what it is that you want. Because don't worry, it's still on its way. And now it just may take a little longer. Or it may be more complicated steps. Or it may be just different. But it's still on its way. Does that make sense? Can anyone relate to that? Have you ever experienced that and didn't know that that's really what you were experiencing? Okay. I'm going to go through this next one real quickly here, the law of sufficiency and abundance. Only because I'm going to fall back on it later as we talk a little bit more. The law of sufficiency and abundance says that you have everything within you right now to do, be, or have what you want. Picture a seed. Picture wheat, picture corn. That corn seed gets planted. It has everything it needs to be corn. Nothing extra. Everything is right there in that seed, right? You plant the corn. Where's my Nebraska people? Right, corn huskers, right? You plant your corn seed. Stalk comes up. Loads of ears on that thing. You pull the ears back and you see wheat, right? That'd be a pretty funky corn seed if you saw wheat, right? You see corn. Why? Because corn seeds grow corn. Wow. So you plant with an expectation and you get it. You don't get something all twisted around. You get corn. Think about that for a minute. I mean, how simple is that? I read somewhere that you reap what you... Wow, that's no mystery. That's only in the best-selling book ever. Right? So then why don't we sow more? Fear. Excellent. Not that fear is excellent, but that's the right answer, so that's excellent. Because we don't believe it. Don't get your expectations up because fill in the blank. So what do we get? Nothing. How cruddy is that? So is there any wonder why there's 99% out there? Because our expectations are shot right out of the gate because we're told not to expect anything. And then we get frustrated because we don't have anything. But you know why we're frustrated? It's not because we don't have anything. We're frustrated because we have the power to have it. And we know that something's not right, and we can't figure out what's not right. And our bodies know that something's not right. So remember the Freud quote about our secrets make ourselves ill? You know what the secret is that we're carrying around? That we're not good enough. That we don't believe we're good enough to have what we want. That we're not good enough. We misbehave, we don't get our ice cream. We don't get dessert, we didn't eat all our peas. And that creates our whole view of life. But that's not an accurate view of life. An accurate view of life is, Einstein said, the world is a loving place. We're told that God is fill in the blank. 4-letter word. God is love. If God is love, and God made the place, and God made the thing, then it's a loving place. Our bodies are made to take care of ourselves. Our bodies are made to heal ourselves. Corn is made to grow. You know, there's always going to be seed time and harvest, night and day, seasons. Why? Because it's a loving system. But who messes it up? We do. We do. Because we don't see the world as an abundant place. Here's the first 2 lines on this. There is a blank blank of every good and wonderful thing experience. Unlimited supply. And I'll give you a perfect example. You plant 1 corn seed, 1 kernel. You only get 1 back, right? 1? If you're only going to get 1 back for the 1 seed you planted, why just skip the work and eat the 1? You get thousands back. Right? How many ears do you get on a stalk? Lots, right? So we planted 1 little seed and we get all these kernels back. Unlimited supply. That's the way the system was made. But we look at it as we grow up. We don't really grow up. But as we get older, we look at it, oh no, there's only a limited supply. So if there's only a limited supply, and I don't have it, and Rebecca has it, then how does that make me feel if there's a limited supply? Well, I'm bummed out now because I want it. So if I want something that somebody else has, what does that create? That noise you hear in the mic, that's friction. We create friction. We create conflict. We create bad stuff. Because I want something that somebody else has, because I don't believe there's enough for 2 of us to have it. I'm not a politician, but how dumb is that? We have an unlimited supply. But as long as we think that we have a limited supply, we're going to fight for what we want. We're going to push for what we want. We're going to take for what we want. We don't call it that. We call it working hard. We call it working smart. But all it really is how can I maneuver? How can I play this cosmic chess game of getting that queen? And it doesn't have to be that way. It wasn't made that way. The next one is there is enough for everyone. There's always enough. There's 2 attitudes that we can use to build our framework of thoughts. There's scarcity and there's abundance. So I just gave you about 8 fill in the blanks there, so I'll slow down. So there is always enough. We have bought into the lie of scarcity and limitations. There are 2 attitudes we can use to build our framework of thoughts. There's scarcity and abundance. Believing there is not enough comes from scarcity thinking. Believing there will always be enough comes from abundance thinking. This is very important for our future visioning. When we base our thoughts and beliefs on lack or scarcity thinking, we place artificial limitations on ourselves and others. Y'all know this next one. We give away our power to create, and instead we experience emotions that are very low on the vibrational scale. We help create the situation in our lives when we are not enough, when we believe we lack certain characteristics, traits, strengths, and so on. It is much more powerful and enabling to base our beliefs on abundance. Abundance. And believing that we will always receive what we need. Okay, we'll always receive what we need. When we base the picture of ourselves by using an abundance mindset, then we become aware of our power to create and fully be who we desire to be. I've already covered this, it kind of went off page, but lack mentality is often responsible for jealousy, feelings of inadequacy, conflicts, and other harmful actions. And then in conclusion on the law of prosperity, the law of abundance, is abundance mentality is often responsible for feelings of gratitude, love, joy, peace, because we see ourselves as complete and adequate. We don't look outside ourselves to be fulfilled and complete, because we realize we already have everything we need to experience love, joy, and peace. And those are the highest emotions on the scale. So if everything in my life is pointing to me wanting love, joy, or peace, and I'm already able to experience it ahead of time by getting into that feeling place of having what I think is going to bring me love, joy, or peace, then do I really need that thing to really have that love, joy, or peace? So then that thing becomes more an effect than a cause. But if I think I need this over here to feel love, joy, or peace, then where's the power? It's outside me. But if I put myself in the feeling place of having love, joy, and peace, then I'm vibrating at this level, or I think I am, and then it shows up anyway. But at that point, I don't need it. I'm detached from it. I don't need it. But it'd be nice. But I don't need it. Okay, there's another law that I didn't write in here, that I didn't write down. It's called the law of detachment. When I need something to create a feeling in me, it's not going to come. When I don't need it, when I detach myself from the results, but I vibrate at that level and I take inspired action, then it shows up. Have you ever experienced that? I'm seeing some yeses, right? Seeing some yeses. Is this new? Is this a refresher or is this new? Or is this a different way to look at the same thing? Or all the above? In the last minute or two that we have, let's turn to page 6. This is a bonus. This is from Christy Whitman's Abundance course. And this is how to identify if I'm having a lack thought or if I'm having an abundant thought. An abundant thought is there's enough. A lack thought is there's never enough. An abundant thought is I am enough. A lack thought is I'm not enough. I'm not good enough. Someone who's thinking on the wavelength of abundance is going to be thinking about cooperation and inspiration. Somebody who's thinking from a lack, I have to fight for my right to party. Yeah, I heard somebody say it. But we have to fight for it, right? That's a lack thought. We don't have to fight for it. Does the corn have to fight to become a stalk full of ears? No, it just has to push up through the dirt. Once it gets into the sunshine, hello, here it comes. Give me some rain. That's why it's in Nebraska, not Arizona, no rain, right? Money and things are an effect, right? I just mentioned that a little earlier. That's an abundant thought. A lack thought is, I need money. Money and things are the cause. I'll feel good when. I'd feel better if. If you only treated me this way, then I'd feel that. Doesn't work that way. Doesn't work that way. John says to me yesterday, we always meet interesting people when we go on our trips. I said, yeah, it's because I attract interesting people. We always meet nice people on our trips. Yeah, that's because I attract nice people. Plant the seed, get the stalk. Plant the seed, get the stalk. When we pick up after the break, we're going to do the next visualization. And I think you're going to really like what you have in store. So thank you. As you know, the DaVinci Institute is a not-for-profit. And one of the ways that they do receive some income or some revenue is through DVDing and videoing events like this. So please make yourselves available or take advantage of the opportunity for those. Also, I would like to thank Stephen Maltz, who's videoing today. Stephen operates out of the Denver area, and I can't wait to see this video because I know he's put a lot of thought and effort into it. We have various cameras going on, recording different things all at the same time, which leads us right into the next topic that I want to talk about. Two people can see the same event and see two different things happen. Why? Perspective. Why else? Perception. Why else?
That's what they want to see.
Background.
Could be what they want to see. Background. Ding, 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 ding. We carry our history with us everywhere we go. Every thought, every response from people, every situation that's occurred, we carry all of that with us in our gazillion gigabit brain that we have. It's all there. And it taints every single thing that we do and every perception that we have. Okay? So, how do we all get on the same page? Or do we even want to get on the same page? I would say that we don't want to get on the same page, but rather I want to be the person that allows everybody to work off of their own page, but their page, right? So we want to have a clear vision of the future. But if I'm carrying all my experiences, both consciously perceived and subconsciously perceived, all the way back to when I was conceived, if I'm carrying all of that with me, and you're carrying all of that with you, that's the lens of the past, right? So there's no way we're going to see the same thing happen. So now we have like 7 trillion people, some who are insightful and most who aren't. Most are just trying to get through their day or get through the next hour or minute. Most likely with what type of a mindset or attitude? Either abundant or lack, pick one.
Lack.
Most people operate from lack. Why? Because that's the reality that they know. But that's not true reality. That's their perception of reality. Right? If I want corn, going back to corn, I'm real imaginative and I'm stuck on corn right now. If I go to a restaurant and I want corn and they don't have corn, there's no more corn in the world? No, there's just no corn on my plate. But guess what my world is at that moment when I want to eat corn? My reality is there's no corn. So now picture the world the way we have it, the way it is going on right now. People are operating from a mindset of lack. So we can do two things. We can take advantage of that mindset of lack and come up with solutions that, hey, I have the solution, and for, 89, 9 to 5, I'll give you the solution, right? Or we can empower them so they realize that there is abundance. We can go into a village and give them food, or we can go into a village and teach them how to plant. Which is more effective long term? Right? Give a man a fish, he eats for a day, teach a man to fish for a lifetime. So we have choices to make. We can continue to operate from a lack mentality, or we can shift over and start living from an abundant mentality. But just because we want to live from an abundant mentality, here's an example. I mentioned that the future creates the present with the past as the backdrop, right? Another way to look at it is everything that I see is through the lens of perception of what my past is. How do I know that a stove is hot? I touched it. Does that mean that every stove everywhere always is hot? Well, but it's not. Not every single one.
That's what we take out.
Right. I mean, the ones in the showroom aren't because they're not even plugged in. Right? So my history is I burnt myself on the stove. Therefore, all stoves are hot. Therefore, I don't even like to see a stove. That's not a good way to live. So if I'm trying to look at the future through the lens of the past, do I have a clear vision of the future? No. So what do? We take off the lens. How did we take off the lens? We did it we talked about it last session a little bit. Visualize is one. Ho'oponopono, right? I have to let go of some baggage so that I can see the future. Right? Forgiving others so I can let go of some baggage so I can see the future. So we're kind of at a crossroads here with the seminar or with a workshop. We can go a couple different directions. And I had some interesting feedback in the back corner, but I want to throw it out to the group. We can do a future visioning where you see the future and the stuff. Or we can do a future visioning where we take care of the limiting beliefs so that you can see stuff. Or we can kind of do whatever you want with regard to the future visioning. Because there's a lot of applications of future visioning. In fact, before you answer that question, the law of pure potentiality on page 6, is it? Or 7? 7. The true essence of who we are is consciousness. Consciousness. I'm sorry for that circular logic that I just put you all in. Everybody's in a spin now, and I apologize for that. Some say this another way. We're spirit beings in physical bodies. Talked about that earlier today. So if we're pure consciousness and we're spirit beings in physical bodies, then we can choose, do we want to live by the physical or do we want to live by the spiritual? When we realize that our inner being, the spirit which animates our minds and bodies, is one, the number one, well, not the number one, but the word one, O-N-E, one of pure potentiality, we are then in alignment with the power that manifests everything in the universe. So think about that for a second. If we want to be creators, if we want to solve problems, if we want to come up with original ideas, are those going to come from the physical, or are those going to come from the spiritual? It's going to come from the spirit. Because the energy that it took to create the problem is not the energy that it's going to take to solve the problem. It doesn't take much energy to make a mess. It's called entropy, right? It does it by itself. It takes energy to create order. So if it takes energy to create order, and if it takes energy to solve problems, do I want to push and fight to solve problems? Or do I want to receive the answers from someone or something that's vibrating higher than I am? I think you know by now, I believe in God. Men can make the mess, women can make the mess, but it's going to take something bigger than us to solve the mess. So this last paragraph says that when we realize that our inner being is one of pure potentiality, then we are in alignment with the power that manifests everything in the universe. I don't know about you all, but I like knowing that God's on my side. But here's the secret that God never meant to be a secret. He's on your side too. He's on all our sides. There's a passage that says, if God be for us, who can be against us? Right? It's a loving universe. God is love. God made it. He's got the answers. In abundance, we can receive them. In lack, we can fight for them. Which is more efficient? Receive the answers. Which is going to work long term? Receive the answers. Right? Receive the answers. Because if I'm fighting for the answer is only going to be as good as where I am right now. But where I am right now is history. This is not in your notes, but you may want to jot this down. Who I am, who you are right now, is just a summation, the little sigma on Excel spreadsheets, of all my thoughts, actions, and feelings up to this point right now. So what you see in me right now, you can stop writing and just think about this, and I'll repeat that in a moment. But what you see in me right now and what you see in you right now is history. It's just a snapshot of all your thoughts and feelings and beliefs up to right now. Your future's not dependent on that. It is if you get stuck with where you are and keep the lens of the past on. You take the lens of the past off, then what's available? Everything. Is that what you said?
Well, anything.
Anything. Everything. Unlimited. It's unlimited. But this is where those limiting beliefs come back in. Well, I wasn't able to do it 1,000 times, so I'm not going to try the 1,001st time. I wasn't able to get that light bulb thing to work. They didn't even have a name for it because we didn't have it yet. But I didn't get it to work 19,999 times, so I'm not going to try again. No, he just found out 19, however the number was, we'll say 19,999 ways of not to do it. Doesn't mean it's not doable. He just didn't find it yet. For those of you who don't know, I'm talking about Thomas Edison, right, with the light bulb. And that was his perspective. He didn't fail all those times. He just found out all those ways not to do it. And that's what our life is. That's what our lives are. They're not failures even to this point, because one, we're here. As long as I can take a breath of air, get some oxygen out of it from my lungs, get it to my heart, get it out to my body parts, get it back in and exhale, I'm alive. Right? So I'm not a failure. None of us are. You're here. And as long as you're living and breathing, you have the opportunity to create the world the way you want it. Because your outer world is just a reflection of your inner world. How many have said, how come this always happens to me? Maybe because that's what I always think about? Well, how cool is that? If I always think about it, and it always happens, then wow, I can change what happens to me by changing what I think about and how I feel about it. I mean, how cool is that? I mean, I love that. My family teases me about being, Mr. Positive. And I'm not Mr. Positive. I'm more like Mr. Focused. I know how I want to feel, and as long as I feel that way, I know what's going to show up. Right? Because we said vibrations, thoughts are things. Thoughts create emotions. Emotions create vibrations. Vibrations get transmitted out. Boom, here we are, and we get what we want. But it's not even a matter of we get what we want. We get what is responding to those vibrations. That's the law of attraction. So when I ask somebody, what do you want? Nothing. Oh, don't say that. Why? Because I never get anything. That's right, because that's what you want. Right? So what do you want? No, I don't want to get my hopes up. Why not? Because I never get what I want. Right, because you never get what you want. So start getting what you want. Start vibrating getting what you want. All right? Are y'all with me on that? Is this like hyper repetitive? I hope I'm not boring you all. Okay. You don't look bored. You almost look like trance-like, which is kind of scaring me because I'm about to put you in a trance. Okay. So I guess we just covered the whole page 7. You just make up stuff and fill it in. Anything is possible, and there is what? First word, unlimited. Unlimited potential, unlimited creativity. You see, honestly, you're all vibrating at the same level with me right now. You could probably fill the rest of these in because you're in tune. You're plugged in right now. All right, so we'll try this. If you feel limits in your life, your ego will feel fear and cause you to desire two what? External things, to feel unlimited or free. All right? If you think that you need money or power or status or the Beamer or the Mercedes or the house in the mountains or the house on the lake to feel free and powerful and strong, where's the power? It's in all those things. So let's say that, you know what? You're really good and you manifest all that stuff. And then some dork is up in Roosevelt National Forest and doesn't put out their fire, and the fire comes blasting through the canyon and burns up your house on the lake and burns up all your dreams and hopes, and now you're not feeling so peaceful and loving and joyful. So where was the power all along? In the external thing. So having all that stuff won't create that feeling in you. Because then you'll be here in Denver or Boulder or wherever, and you'll be thinking, oh, there's a fire in the mountains. Well, it's not necessarily burning your house, but you're feeling that it might be burning your house, and now you're not digging having that house anymore, right? Because now you're worrying about that house. The point being, it's not the external things that get us the feeling. Feel the feeling first. And if the external things come, they come as a bonus. But you know what? They will come. But you don't need them to come. And that's the paradox. They will come because they're vibrating at the same level that you're vibrating at. But you don't need them to cause you to be you don't need them to vibrate. I just got it. You be the tuning fork instead of having the external thing being the tuning fork. When we give our power away, we're just responding to the external things that are vibrating. When we keep our power, we're the tuning fork, and the other stuff shows up. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So it's all a matter of who's the tuning fork, or what's the tuning fork. If you want power over your life, you want control over your life, you be the tuning fork. I like that.
I like that too. Complete that sentence one more time. However, if you feel limits of your life, will you complete that? For external.
Your
forces.
ego will feel fear and cause you to desire external things to feel unlimited or free.
Thank you.
Some examples of these things are money, prestige, power. Okay. Okay. I'm just going to read the next paragraph. I'm not going to expound on it. You've heard it all morning. As we change our inner world, as we change our beliefs to abundance beliefs, and as we change to appreciators instead of depreciators, I made that word up, but I like it. Our external, that's why I made it up. Our external world will change to reflect that as well. Why? I'm at the top of page 8. We attract that which we focus on and give energy to. We talked about that earlier. Y'all know this now, what? Perfect. About the things we
Want.
want's one of them, or
Care about.
care about's good. Desire or think, right? What we feel about what we think determines what we attract. If we go back to the columns of lack and abundance, we don't have to look outside ourselves to feel complete and adequate. That's in the abundance column, right? If we believe in abundance thinking and combine it with the law of pure potentiality, then we realize that we are exactly what we need to be, and we will be able to achieve whatever we truly believe we can achieve. We will also believe that we can fill in the blank. Throw words out to me.
That's right.
Achieve.
Attract, achieve, how about create? Whatever it is that we want to create.
Manifest.
Manifest. Manifest is a good word. Manifesting is just seeing what already is. Right? So if you see it first and then it shows up, when did it show up? When did it really show up?
In the future.
I see it.
When you first saw it. When you first saw it, remember thoughts are things? So the thing really showed up when you had the thought about it. And then you learned how to release the resistance to receiving it. You put it out there that that's really what you wanted. You felt having it, and then it showed up. So is it any surprise when it shows up? First time it is. First few times it is. Then you get used to it. And then two things can happen. You get used to doing it, and then you can either stop doing it and go, wow, what happened? Oh yeah, that's right, I forgot I stopped doing it. Or you can continue to do it. In sales, salespeople are notorious for this. They find something that works, and they do it, and they get successful, and they stop doing it. Because they're looking for something else. They forgot what made them successful. Salespeople are just notorious for that. But it happens anywhere. We do a certain number of things, we become successful at it, and then, yeah, we want to grow, we want to learn, we want to do something different to keep on expanding, but oftentimes along the way, it's easy to forget just the fundamentals. So some of you, most of you, maybe all of you knew all this before you came here today, but it's put together in a way for you so that you'll remember it. And whenever you pull out your notes, you'll see my smiling face and you'll remember today. So how cool is that? Well, thank you. Let's talk more about future visioning now. We have about a half an hour left, and I want you to really benefit from this. I'm still kind of back where I was when we did the first visioning, so I don't know if you noticed like an energy shift or something, but the room just went, and everybody's like at a different place, and it's a good place. I mean, it really feels good in here. I want to thank you all for that. Einstein talked about creativity. If you want to, if you respect Albert Einstein, some do, some don't, most do, just Google Einstein space quotes. And there's web pages, there's websites devoted to just different quotes by Einstein. And one web page had different categories. And I thought, oh, how cool is that? I can just look at the category that I want to see and see what Einstein had to say about that. And he had a section on creativity. Now, I don't think that he wrote down oh, now I'm in my creative mode, I'm going to write my creative thoughts. I think somebody compiled his creative thoughts and put them into categories, right? So anyway, he says imagination is more important than knowledge. Knowledge is limited. We'd all agree with that, right? Okay. When I examine myself and my methods of thought, I come to the conclusion that the gift of fantasy has meant more to me than any talent for abstract positive thinking. So after the last 2.5, 3 hours together, the next time somebody tells you, oh yeah, the law of attraction, that's about thinking positive, right? I think you'll know that it's a whole lot more than that. A whole lot more than just positive. It's about love, joy, peace, gratitude. You know, the big four. In basketball terms, the final four, right? Right? Love, joy, peace, gratitude. If you remember those four and keep staying in that level. I want to jump back to something because I just reminded myself. Those 5 steps we talked about, know what you don't want, turn it around into affirmative of what you do want, get clear of any blockages, put yourself in the feeling place, allow it to come, take inspired action. The third one, clear blockages. I told you about Ho'oponopono, I told you visualization, meditation. I will tell you now the easiest. Y'all want to know the easiest way to clear blockages? This is yes. Yeah. This is no. The easiest way is to put yourself in a feeling of gratitude. An attitude of gratitude. Yep. And here's the easiest way to get into a feeling of gratitude. You look around your room, you look around your home, you look around your work environment, wherever you are, you're in your car, whatever. And you pick one thing that you admire, that has meaning to you. Could be a vase, a painting, you like your sofa, the fireplace, whatever. You pick something. And you start appreciating it for its form, for its function, for its beauty, for how it makes you feel. And you just hold that feeling. You only focus on that thing and your appreciation for it. And you do that for about 68 seconds. A minute's fine. And you don't have to use a timer. You'd be surprised. I mean, after about 10 seconds, you feel like you've been doing it for an hour. You know, but the first couple times you do it, just time yourself for a minute. Just for a minute, focus on that one thing. And then pick another item. And again, observe it and just cherish it for its beauty or its function or its form. Do that for another minute. And then pick a third thing. And do that for a minute. And by the time you pick the fourth thing, you're almost buzzing. You almost have a head rush because you're vibrating at such an appreciative level. I get goosebumps telling you that. All right, that's the easiest way. And if you do it with 3 items, guess how long it's going to take you? 3 minutes, right? A minute each. 3 times 1, you know. Right? It's going to take 3 minutes. You can change your perceptions. You can change your feelings like that. Let's go back to driving. Right? You were driving foggy coming down the mountains, right? 10 seconds later, I said, now you're in the wide open country. You change your feelings in 10 seconds. So my son says to me, I'll ask a question. Mike, I'm having a bad day. I'm feeling really negative. It's like, okay, well, here's the answer. Choose to feel not negative. Choose a different thought. Choose a better thought. It's as simple as that. You know, you hear the bad thoughts and the stuff that makes you feel bad. La, 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 la. I'm going to think about a good thought. Because who controls my mind? Who controls the channel on my brain? Moi. My brain. You know, that's not getting in. I'm not watching that. It's my brain. And I choose what I'm going to think. And so I shift, I get to an attitude of appreciation. That's the quickest way. Now, the most effective way for me is I take out a notebook, and across the top of the notebook, I write book of positive aspects. And this is straight out of Asking It Is Given. And I pick one topic, and in my case, it was my wife. And I started writing down all the things I love about her. Now, I had to do this because I was upset with her about something, I guess. But I started writing down all the things that I loved about her. And I got through halfway through the page, I'm like, whoa, man, I feel great. Text her, I love you, thinking about you, you know. Changes the whole day, right? Just changes the whole day. True story. This is money, okay? So this is a money story. We're in our hot tub one morning after working out. And I said to my wife, you know, it all starts with gratitude. All starts with gratitude. And she says to me, yeah, you know, I'm starting to see that. And she hadn't had a raise in 2 years. You know, and I grouse about her boss about that because I think she deserves a raise. And so I said, you know, I'm going to start appreciating your boss. I really respect how he runs that business. I really respect his business acumen. And I just start really feeling good about her boss. She calls me up 2 hours later after she's at work for an hour. You are not going to believe this. And every time I hear that, I always think, yes, I will. I'm like, what happened? She says, I just got a 10% raise. And I was like, cool. I should have appreciated him a lot earlier. But then that's where the forgiveness comes in. It's like, no, don't look at it that way. Be glad that you figured it out and keep on doing that. Because the past is the past unless I let it create the future, right? I don't want it to create the future. So I'm going to be thankful that I figured it out now and just keep doing that going forward. Make sense? All right, here we are, home stretch. This is straight from Ty Kane. And you'll see at the bottom of page 9, above my name, it says copyright, Ty Kane, 2008, and I want to give attribution to him. He says, the universe is a loving place. You see, I've been giving you the answers ahead of time. Who creates whose reality? I create my reality, or you create your reality. That's the law of attraction. The blank creates the blank. We're dealing with time here, so what creates the what? The future creates the present.
That's why we got a present.
That's right, that's why they call it the present. All time is, I said it earlier, you may not have caught it.
Simultaneous.
Simultaneous, good job. All blanks, that's plural, are positive. Feelings or emotions. Let me explain that one. Remember I said despair and hopelessness is on the bottom? What happens when someone is hopeless and realizes, oh, I feel hopeless because I gave away my power and so-and-so made me mad because they did such and such to me. And now all of a sudden, I don't feel so powerless. Now I'm just flat out angry, right? I'm angry. Well, you know what? Anger is a good thing at that point because it's a higher vibration than powerlessness. Don't hang out there too long, though, because it becomes self-destructive. So let's just go right through that step because we're powerless down here, feeling really bad, and we want to get to love, joy, peace if we can. But, to go through all those emotions to get to the top, that's not going to happen in one sitting. It may not even happen in a couple of days. But you just want to work your way up. Because once you're angry, guess what? You can deal with that. You can deal with that. And part of the way of dealing with anger is forgiveness. Not just for the person who offended you, but now forgive yourself. Now forgive yourself. Self-forgiveness is a huge part of future visioning. I'm just going to throw this out there. Some have used future visioning to take care of stuff in the past. I've done that with clients. I'd be happy to do that with you, but I'm not going to do that in a group. That's when those tissues really come out. And we don't want to do that in a group session anyway. One of the things I would like to offer to both of you, Tom asked me, no selling up here, no pitches, and I'm not. But since you're all here today, I would like to offer you, 2 30-minute sessions, complimentary, just one-on-one with me, on whatever topics you want to talk about. And that's just my offer. If you're listening to the DVD, that's not for you, it's for the people who are here. We have different offers for that, I guess. Future visioning is a powerful tool. And Ty Kane has done tremendous work with it. But when we look at all emotions being positive, we want to work through the emotions so that we can get up to the higher vibrations. And once we hit anger, once we identify what we're angry about and why we're angry and who's responsible, ultimately who is responsible, we're always responsible. That's where the forgiveness comes in, because we need to forgive ourselves for that. So if I don't like the mess I'm in, I have to forgive myself for making the mess. So be easy on ourselves. I tell my clients all the time, be kind to yourself. If I treated my friends the way I treat myself, I wouldn't have any friends. How many of us could say that is true for ourselves? So be kind to yourself. Love yourself, forgive yourself. Here's number 6. If you look for simple answers, you guarantee yourself a difficult life. There are no simple answers. However, if you are willing to embrace complexity, then you can have an easy life. Who said easy? I heard that over there. An easy life. If we look for the simple answers, difficult life. If we can accept and embrace complexity, it'll be a whole lot easier. Some sample uses of future visioning. Enhance creativity, we talked about that a little bit today. Improve relationships. Well, how could that be? Here, I'll throw this one out to you. This is a gift. This is all a gift, but this is a really good gift. The other ones were good too, but this is a great gift. All right? You do the future visioning. But instead of seeing yourself come to you, you see the person who you want to resolve something with. And the way you want to resolve it is by loving them and ending whatever conflict there is, right? So when they're coming towards you, you see the light over their head. And now they're in front of you. And now you clear the air with them. Now this is all happening on a spiritual level, right? Because we're spirit beings in physical bodies, right? something happens. You will feel a shift. You will resolve that relationship with that person. As you're watching them and resolving the issue, see the light drop down into their head, come out their belly button or solar plexus, and connect to you. So you connect to that person, they connect to you. Take care of what you need to take care of, and then they leave. It works with your relationships with your parents. It works with your relationships with your children, co-workers, friends, whoever. You don't have to have the person right in front of you to clear the air. They don't even need to know that you did it. But I assure you, shifts will take place. It's powerful. Powerful. Physical healing. Freud said that our secrets make us sick. We don't like to admit that we're angry, that we have this anger we're carrying around. So it's our secret. So guess who we take that anger out on? Ourselves. Ourselves. And we don't do it at a conscious level. It's all subconscious. And so future visioning actually helps resolve that as well. And if you want more information about that, shoot me an email. You have my email address, and I'll talk more with you about that. Works with forgiveness, we just talked about that. Removing limiting beliefs. Somewhere along the line, we knew that life was totally unlimited. Right? We were that little child. The world is our oyster. We're going to go out there and do what we're going to do. And then, boom, reality hits. Not reality. Just no hit. That's all. Just no. That's not reality. We make it our reality, and we give it more and more and more and more energy. But that's not reality. That might have been our parents' reality, or that may have been our school teachers' reality, or fill in the blanks. Anybody who's in a position of authority to say no. But no is not how the universe works. If the universe worked that way, then what would the corn have to do to break through the no to get to be a corn stalk? So the universe has to be a yes. Has to be a yes. Now, do weird, funky things happen in the universe? Yes. Why? Because we've messed around with it. You know, we've messed around with it. What we're seeing is just the results of a lot of what we've done. Some believe it is actually possible for a group of people with their energy to create an earthquake. Seriously. Some people have said that tornadoes are really a response to the energy that people are putting out. Tsunamis, fires, big fire going on in Texas. Joe Vitale sent down the email to people on his list. Send healing energy to to Texas for those fires, because the energy is just out of whack. I thought, well, if everything's energy, why not? So just go along with me on this one for a minute. So just agree with me for this. If that's possible, here's your future thinking now. If we could take that energy and everybody's on the same wavelength with that, you can really change the world. All right? Here's why we get sick. Our futures are foggy. So we're coming down the highway in fog, twisting and turning, and we feel it in our bodies because we don't know the future. We don't know what's coming next. But when we do know what's coming next, it feels a whole lot better, right? So think about it. If we don't create the future, then we're just a victim of the future. Tom in his book said that if the future has no need for what you're creating, the future will kill it. Or words to that effect. All right? So do we want to be victims of the future? Or do we want to create the future? If we believe we can create the future and do future visioning and experience the future now and know what lies in store for us, then guess what happens to my stress level? If I already know what's coming and what's coming is good, am I stressed? Would I be stressed about that if something good's about to happen? Stress level just goes, and I don't have to be tense. I don't have to be uptight about what's coming. Because I know what's coming and I like what's coming. In fact, what's coming is what I want. So all of a sudden, all this stress and all the defense mechanisms that we use in our lives, knowingly or unknowingly, become unnecessary. And our body just lets go of them. And cool stuff happens. Peak performance in business, sports, personal life. It's on your list. Can you see now how you can use future visioning for that? Right? I mean, isn't the list really endless on how you can apply future visioning? Think about it. You could see a situation turning out the way you want it to turn out, and not necessarily for selfish gain, and not necessarily to one-up somebody, because if we're doing that, which column are we in? Abundance or lack? Right, so we don't want to use future visioning tools to win or to be better than or anything like that. What we're using future visioning for is to get in step with the Creator so that His power or God's power is making it happen. Because then it becomes easy. And which is easier, easy or hard? Right? And if easy is good, then easy doesn't take stress. And if I don't have stress, then my body can rest. And when my body can rest, my body can heal. Right? Would you agree, health professional in the back? Right? It's all about rest. It's all about truly relieving that stress. And we're not talking about physical stress. We're talking about the emotional stress, the spiritual stress that we're carrying. And we can use future visioning to let go of that. Creating future business partnerships. Now, what's funny about this one is what came to mind as I was coaching somebody, and she wants to assemble her team of who she's going to use for her music business going forward. And as I was doing the future visioning, when I do it one-on-one, I actually see what you're seeing. When I do it one-on-one, I don't see it in a group like this. But when I'm doing it one-on-one, I'm seeing what the people are seeing. I'm seeing what that client is seeing. And I can't explain it, and then I just say, what I'm seeing. And then when I get done, it's like, what did you say? Well, that's exactly what I saw before you said it. I'm like, okay, good, that was a good one. But even in this room, I know there's a lot of business partnerships, and I know there's lots of potential. I know there's a lot of things that could possibly happen. And I think that's really cool. I've met some very, very interesting people today, very talented people, passionate people. And I think your futures are tremendously bright. And I know it's just about 12:30, and I'd like to ask for permission to do one more visioning with you all, if that's okay. If I break any DaVinci rule, please forgive me, but we'll do it. Y'all game? All right. Before we jump in, are there any questions, concerns, comments? There's no snoring, so know that you're awake. Funny story, I gotta share it. I know this is being filmed. We may edit it out later, but I'm a student at the Naval Academy. I have a year's worth of college under my belt because I went to CU Boulder. And so I decided I'm going to fill in some of the classes that I validated and take some upper class classes, like my son's doing in his school. So I'm taking economics as a freshman, totally exhausted. I mean, we wake up at 6 in the morning, go to bed at 11 at night, nonstop the whole day long. Not like the Air Force Academy, Naval Academy. So anyway, I'm sitting in economics, 5th period. Now, first 4 periods are before lunch. Then we have like about a 2,000 calorie lunch. And we're burning like 6,000 calories a day. So I have this huge lunch every day. 5th period, what's going to happen after a huge lunch? So I'm sitting in this class, and I decide that, one of the ways that we got through is you can't do well in all your classes. You just flat out can't do it. So you have to, that's a limiting belief, right? So we were taught early on, you pick a class that you're going to blow off. I'll blow off economics, right? So here I'm in economics class. Sorry, Professor Morris. And I'm sitting there, man, I am just so comfortable. I guess I was maybe doing future visioning without knowing it, but I am like so chill. And I feel so good. And I'm at peace. And I hear background noise, and then the background noise stops. And I open my eyes, and I'm up in one of these amphitheater rooms, and so I'm up at the top row, and the professor's down there, and he looks up at me, this little guy, and he's even littler now that I'm way back up here, right? He looks at me and he says, Midshipman Carradini, you know my policy about sleeping in class. I don't mind if you sleep, but this snoring has got to stop. That was not a highlight of my experience there. And I had upperclassmen in that class, in my company. So fortunately, they never gave me grief about that. So lightheartedly, let's go ahead and close our eyes. With our feet firmly grounded, flat on the floor. Sitting heavy in our chairs with our back straight. Take a deep breath. Let it out slowly. Take another deep breath. Let it out slowly. One more breath. Let it out slowly. Picture inhaling light and love, and exhale. Deep breaths, exhale. Picture that cable or rod extending from your spine through the base of your chair, through the floor, all the way to the center of the earth. And your feet solidly anchored to the ground with roots coming out of your toes and your heels. And a ball of light about a foot over your head, circling slowly, drenching you in light. A waterfall of light over your body, showering you with light and love. And as you're basking in that light and love, I want you to go to that peaceful place where you went before. I want you to feel the peace, feel the love, feel the joy of being there. Now I want you to look out into the sky you see bubbles. Some bubbles are expanding. Some bubbles are popping. And each of these bubbles represents your future. The ones that are popping aren't going to happen. But there's one particular bubble that catches your eye. And you focus on that bubble. And as you focus on that bubble, it grows. Because energy flows where your attention goes. And as you watch that one bubble expand, that bubble of your perfect future, you see a ray of light shoot out of that bubble and come right to you. And you see that it's not a ray, but it's a tunnel. And you step into that tunnel. And you are sucked into that future. And you get there. And it is even more loving. It is even more peaceful. It is even more accepting and comforting than where you just were. And as you're in this new bubble, this future, this perfect future, you see doors. And you see 3 or 4 doors. And you go to the first door and you open it up. And it's a hallway. And you go through that hallway and you open the end of the door. Open the door at the end of the hallway. And now you're in a room. And this room amazes you. You see things you never dreamed of. You see people talking with each other, loving each other, being kind to each other. You see how they're dressed. You see how they talk to people who aren't there. Maybe they have a phone. Maybe they have something else in their hands. Maybe a boom mic. Maybe something in their ear. And you just feel the love and the joy of people connecting with each other, sharing ideas, having a shared purpose of making the world a better place. And ideas start coming to you on how to do that. Maybe there's a system that you just received. Maybe there's a process you just figured out. Maybe there's a method. Maybe there's a device. Maybe a tool. Maybe an application. Maybe music. Whatever it is, you see the fruit of your labor in tangible form by either seeing it, hearing it, smelling it, touching it, tasting it. And you feel good knowing that what you created, what you allowed to come to you and through you, you gave back to the world. And it made the world a better place. And as you're admiring this room and the people in the room and the way they feel, you see across the room somebody who looks just like you, but older, wiser, gentler, And this time you walk over to them. But as you're walking to them, she or he is walking to you. And you embrace. And your old future self, your wise future self, smiles at you so broadly and tells you how happy they are to see you. And what a great job you've done in creating and in allowing and receiving and giving. And the joy you experience is just overwhelming. You've never felt anything like this before. And your future self validating you, validating your hopes, validating your dreams, your creations. And you see plainly and clearly the benefits of what you created and people using them, the systems or the methods or the processes or the devices or the music. And your future self tells you, let's go for a walk. And together you keep walking. You walk out of that room, and now you're in an open field, and there's no one else. There's just a sea of love and light. And your future self looks at you, gives you a hug, turns around, and walks into his or her future. Just that endless love and light. And you're okay with that. And you're experiencing being in your future now, knowing that there's even more future for you. And holding those thoughts, holding those feelings, holding those images, those pictures that you saw. When I count to 5, we'll come back to this room here in Louisville. And we'll open our eyes when I count to 5. 1, and it just feels so good to be in love and light. And 2, you're so thankful for what you create. It's just growing more and more in us. 3, it's outside of us now and it encapsulates us. 4 and 5. Go ahead and shake. I guess we ran out of tape on that one. How's everybody feel? You okay? Good? I hope you saw good stuff. I would just like to remind you that you can use this anytime. On page 12, I have the acknowledgments. And I said that the visioning exercises were my own. They were inspired by Ty Kane. But every time I do them, they're different. And I know that there's a different flavor. And that's why I say they're my own, and they're my gift to you. I'm sorry, you're page 11. I have page 12. I have my notes. Page 11. So I want to thank you so much for coming today. I want to remind you that DVDs are available. They're not burned yet, of course, but when they are, I'm sure you'll hear from Tom or from the Institute. It has been a pleasure to come back to Boulder. This time I'll remember more than half of my trip. So. Thank you.
Let's give a big round of applause.